Welcome to this very special session, everyone. I'm Erin Matlock. My guest today is Dr. Ameet Aggarwal. And for 15 years, he has been helping people like you and definitely like me with issues such as burnout, stress, fatigue, low energy, dissatisfaction in life, depression, anxiety. And he has a special approach that connects the mind, the body, the brain. And today he's going to share with you how that all connects and why we need to be listening to our whole self. Welcome, Dr. Ameet.
Thank you, Erin. Hey, viewers. I want to show you how really your body connects to your mind, how your gut, your liver, your adrenal glands affect your brain chemistry, anxiety, depression, and burnout. And I also want to share how trauma, childhood trauma especially, and your nervous system affect your biology, your cortisol levels, your gut, and therefore your mental health. So let's get started, Erin.
Sounds wonderful. And Dr. Ameet is joining us all the way from Kenya today. And so welcome. Let's start with this gut. We keep hearing all the importance of the gut, the gut, the gut. When I talk to my friends outside of the health market, they've heard about it, but they're not to that point, at least here in the United States, where they're really doing anything about it.
So I want to preempt this by saying most people make a mistake of only healing their gut and they ignore the master organ, the liver, which we're going to talk about, as well as the adrenals. And we're also going to talk about family constellations therapy to heal trauma from the ancestors, to target what people are suffering from. So let's start with the gut, the most simplest part. You have a stomach, you have intestines. Your intestines are like a nice tube, a nice lining, kept healthy by good bacteria and good food. Over time, with antibiotic use, a poor diet, pesticides, birth control pill, certain other inflammatory foods, too much gluten, too much wheat, too much coffee, too much alcohol, etc. The good bacteria get killed off. The lining gets damaged. We get holes in the intestine called leaky gut syndrome. And then toxins leak into the bloodstream and cause inflammation everywhere in the body. Leading cause for asthma, eczema, arthritis, a lot of chronic conditions. And it also throws off our neurotransmitters. So we go into anxiety and depression, OCD, suicidal thoughts can come from inflammation, from leaky gut. I'm also going to talk how it can come from trauma, childhood trauma. So now let's go back to inflammation. You have all this inflammation going on in your body. That creates more toxins in your body. And who has to deal with toxins is your liver. Your liver is the master organ. And so your liver, who's responsible for hormone balance, digestion, bile production, lubrication of your intestines so your poop comes out, detoxification, blood sugar balance, weight loss as well. A lot of people who struggle with weight loss are actually suffering from a stagnant liver. So your liver becomes inflamed from leaky gut and from all the toxins, from the environment as well as from inflammation. So when the liver gets stagnant, it produces less bile. So you get more, when there's less bile, you get improper digestion. So poor digestion, so more gas, bloating, constipation. And a lot of people make a mistake of taking laxatives when they're constipated, not realizing it's their liver that's stagnant, that's not producing enough bile. So I'll always treat constipation first with good liver support. And now your liver also controls hormones. So now when your liver becomes stagnant, you go into hormonal imbalance. Usually what I see is a progesterone deficiency and an estrogen excess. When that happens, people are more prone to PMS symptoms, anxiety, depression, And you see, progesterone helps GABA, this neurotransmitter, this anti-anxiety neurotransmitter, work better in the brain. So now when progesterone is low, GABA is not working so well. So a lot of women will experience the insomnia and the anxiety during menses or during their cycle. And that's why hormones affect the brain, or the mood through GABA and through other neurotransmitters. Now, also what happens is most of your neurotransmitters are actually produced in your gut, your serotonin, your GABA, etc. And when you have inflammatory, leaky gut syndrome and an unhealthy microbiome and not enough bile flowing in your intestines, then your good bacteria are basically not in balance. So they don't produce enough serotonin and enough GABA. So you're going to be slipping into anxiety and depression much faster when you have an unhealthy microbiome. So yes, you can go for trauma therapy, you can go for all these therapies, but if your gut and your liver are not healed properly, you will be prone to anxiety and depression your whole life, possibly. Yeah. Now, before we go into trauma resolution and why that causes anxiety and depression, actually, we're going to talk about that now. And we're going to talk about your adrenal glands as well. Okay.
Okay.
So we have these beautiful organs that sit above the kidneys called the adrenal glands. They're your fight or flight organs. They produce adrenaline and cortisol to manage stress, to manage inflammation. When you're threatened, yeah, either your parents are fighting a lot, or you're being beaten, or you see your mom being hurt, or you're just not feeling safe at home, then you go into a fight or flight response or a freeze response, yeah, because you were overwhelmed with the threat and you just froze to save your life. Now, these traumatic memories are stored in your nervous system. And while they're happening, though, they're driving your adrenal glands to make adrenaline, yeah, and to make cortisol to help you survive. Unfortunately, human beings are not good at resolving trauma right away. So these traumas, adverse childhood experiences, they're stored in our nervous system. And as we grow up, our nervous system is basically affected by these early traumas. So we're always prone to a fragile nervous system. So when we're faced with stress as adults, new stresses, a threatening boss, divorces, breakups from our girlfriend, we go into those childhood feelings of feeling unwanted, threatened, unsafe, insecure, having to try very hard to please the other person, having to win back love. Yeah, because as a child, we had to do all these things and we experienced this sense of unsafety. As adults, we repeat the same pattern. So our adult stresses feel much more stressful if we have childhood wounds. So people who have been wounded a lot as children, they go into depression, burnout, anxiety much faster than people who have had a safe upbringing. Yeah, because of this response to adult stress that is mimicking childhood responses to trauma and stress.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I combine Gestalt therapy, EMDR, family constellations therapy to heal these wounds from childhood, yeah, so that the person can feel a bit safer in their vulnerability. Go to that place of feeling unwanted and realize, gosh, you know what? I am safe. It's okay. Mom's looking away at my sick brother or something like that. It doesn't mean I'm not loved. Or, my parents are fighting. I use family constellations for this a lot. My parents are fighting. I am busy. I was busy really protecting and rescuing my mom. It's not needed anymore. If I look at her as the big person, I'm the child, I can honor her as this amazing, respectful adult and let her carry that as her journey. And I really look up to her as this amazing person who has carried this, and I don't have to carry her burden. My nervous system resets. My nervous system will feel less exhausted. My nervous system will feel less triggered. And I will be more in a child state, revering my mother, but my nervous system relaxes. So that means I don't go into adrenal burnout, and I don't get busy with wounded partners or wounded people in my adult life, having to rescue them, having to fix their problems, and get into dysfunctional relationships because I'm still trying to solve my mother's problems. Yeah. So when we heal these childhood wounds, yeah, the nervous system relaxes, we become more functional in our adult life, get less stressed and burnt out and triggered by adult experiences such as angry bosses, relationship breakups, or other threatening experiences. And therefore, our adrenal glands build up. When they build up and they don't burn out, then our cortisol levels come more into balance. When cortisol is in balance, all the brain chemicals such as serotonin, dopamine, GABA, melatonin, and your thyroid hormones come more into balance. So you get less anxiety and depression. That's how trauma, childhood experiences affect the adrenal glands, cortisol levels, and therefore brain chemicals. But the other thing that affects cortisol, your adrenal glands, and your brain chemicals is inflammation, which we talked about from an unhealthy liver and an unhealthy gut. When you're overinflamed and overtoxic, your body has to produce cortisol as well to manage the inflammation. So inflammation burns out your adrenal glands as well, because your adrenal glands are what produces cortisol, as well as other cells in your body. So chronic inflammation combined with unresolved childhood trauma, combined with daily stresses in adult life, wipe out your nervous system, leading to adrenal exhaustion, and therefore cortisol imbalance, and therefore brain chemical imbalance, so serotonin, dopamine, melatonin, etc. drop, leading to insomnia, anxiety, depression, OCD, suicidal thoughts. Yeah, so you can go for therapy, but if you don't heal your gut and your liver and your adrenal system, you might be looping through therapy. And if you're only taking probiotics and supplements, yeah, without healing those childhood wounds, you'll be popping supplements all the time, always feeling vulnerable and fragile, never really resolving that issue, and never getting to that place of confidence and safety, final safety, so you can just walk your life and feel more complete.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the mind and the body all interact.
And I've seen that. I don't know about you, but I have some friends and we'll be out to dinner and they'll have the handful of supplements with their dinner,
Yeah.
the health market, right? But they're still going through such issues with trauma. And I agree. It's like a whole approach
Yeah.
that has to happen, which here's the thing, Dr. Ameet, this can feel extremely overwhelming. I remember when I was spent. I had severe depression, hospitalized 4 times, right? Suicide attempts. I didn't have anything in me, even to get through a session like this, but a lot of my family did, right? They would come or bring me books or ideas. So when someone maybe is watching who is just at the end of their exhausted rope,
Yeah.
where would be the first place, the soft place that you would advise someone to start who needs to start slowly and feels very overwhelmed right now?
Beautiful. So I do have some free videos on my site. Yeah, it's drameet.com, which will walk you through healing your gut, your liver, your adrenal glands. There's just the basics of it. And there's a beautiful emotional healing exercise in those videos where I help you feel a bit safe with all these vulnerable emotions that you're feeling. Okay. So it goes like something like, it's safe for me to feel stressed once in a while. So you really give yourself permission to experience what you need to experience without labeling it as wrong, without fighting against your own experience, and really giving yourself space to be you. Then I go into other healing centers, like it's safe for me to relax from time to time, or it's safe for me to be overworried or have intrusive thoughts once in a while. So you give yourself space and permission to really experience yourself without the stigma of what society labels us as, or labels to be wrong, which, the stigma of society actually creates or lends to a lot of stress in our minds.
Yes, it does.
If society allowed us to feel these things and held us in a safe space while we're going through these things, we would not feel so isolated. The feeling of isolation and not belonging to society is one of the biggest traumas and causes of suicide out there. Yeah, because we feel like we don't belong or disconnected.
It is exactly that. Yes, that feeling of being alone in a crowded room.
Yeah.
Of being numb, of being not understood,
Yeah.
not seen. And yes,
Yeah.
that's a big one. I love that. Say it again. It's safe, because the safety it's written everywhere. It's on my bathroom mirror. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe.
Yeah. It's safe. Yeah. What I say is it's safe to feel this way once in a while. So there's a lot of sentences, a lot of different emotions I talk about in those free videos, but you combine, you can say it's safe for me to feel, and you add a negative or quote unquote, what people label as a negative emotion. And always add the word once in a while after that sentence, because once in a while doesn't force you into thinking, okay, I should feel positive all the time, or it's safe. Like I'm convincing myself that it's okay to feel stressed. No, once in a while really creates a lot of magic in your nervous system. Try it out. You'll see. The once in a while gives you the choice of feeling what you're feeling and letting it go. And when you experience choice, you become less of a victim to your emotion. Yeah, you felt that.
I do. Everything is just washing over me. Oh, I could listen to you all day, Dr. Ameet. It's beautiful. Okay, we'll turn it back to you.